Hey kiddos, day 5, and this is going to be one of my favorite ones that I have done so far. It turned out so cute and just looks absolutely precious. Let's get started on it. All right, the first thing you're going to need is 2 of those Christmas tree forms, and you're going to take all of the tinsel off of them and just unwrap them. And then once you do that, you're going to cut off all the little BBs on the ends of it. Now, these are some wooden planks that I got at Dollar Tree, and they were, I think, 6 in a package for $1, of course, and they're just balsa wood is what they are. They're about 7 inches long. So what I did was I just halved them, and I took 2 of them, and I took my razor knife, which is just basically an X-Acto knife, and scored it several times, and then turned it over and scored it on the other side, and then just busted it in 2. And it came out almost perfect. I couldn't believe how easy these cut. Take a piece of sandpaper and I'm going to sand the edges off where I had busted them in 2. And the sandpaper I got at Dollar Tree. They also have sanding blocks there, which is what I normally use, but that's the first thing I grabbed was that piece of sandpaper. Now I'm just going to use my Ryobi hot glue gun, and I'm going to glue the pieces together to make me a box. It doesn't have to be precise. If you look at mine, it's not precise, but just trying to line them up on the edge as best as possible. You let it cool, and then you can do the other side. The balsa wood took the hot glue really well. Start with covering the trees with the burlap. And the burlap was around, I think, 15 by 18 inches long. And I just cut me a piece, and you're going to cover both sides. So you're going to need 2 pieces of that 18 by 12. Now I'm just going to start lining up the hot glue on the bottom of it and placing the hot glue on the bottom. You don't need to cut the little tree legs or the little trunk part, because that's going to sit down into the box. Now, the other part of this too is you don't have to do this box. This tree will sit on its own. After I got it together, it would sit on its own without the box. And then if you wanted to do 2 of them, that would make it like multi-layered, so it would be super cute. So I think the next one I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a box with it, and so it'll give me a couple of different levels of heights for the tree. All right, so now I'm just going along, and I'm going to tuck the burlap. I'm going to do 1 layer of the tree, and then I'm going to tuck the burlap onto the hot glue. Now, you definitely want to wear something on your fingers, cover your fingers in some protective way, because you're going to be pushing that burlap down into that. You could use a popsicle stick to do it, push it down in there. I say, if you don't have these little rubber fingers that I got at Dollar Tree, to use something metal. So a spoon, a butter knife, something like that, to push it to the metal, because hot glue and metal do not like to stick to each other. So even though it might stick to the metal will cool the glue instantly, and then you can peel it right off. So that's my quick tip for hot glue, especially really hot glue that comes out of this gun. So while I talked over it, I went around and cut the excess off of the burlap. Just cut it in the tree shape after you get it hot glued on there, and then cut up into the corners into a V pattern, and fold the burlap over into the tree and hot glue it again. And don't worry about being messy with it, because in the end you're going to cover the outside with hot glue anyway to make it look like snow. And so it may come through the other side, but don't worry about it. Just keep going. I'll show you how we'll fix it here in a minute. then on the top of the tree, we're going to take that burlap and fold it over first the top part and hot glue, and then wrap the sides around it so that the top has a smoother area. While you're doing that, and after you get it hot glued all together, you're going to do a trim. You're going to trim the excess off so that it's not too bulky when you glue the other tree to this side. Now you're going to do the exact same thing to the other one. So now you have two of them. All right, now you're going to hot glue these two together. So you're just going to start running a seam around the parts that will stick to each other. So the raised up parts on the back are going to be each one of the ridges, or the corners of the trees, and especially at the top. And then just place it on there and kind of hold it together. And I'm just pinching. Now, mind you, it's hot, so you're going to have to use a lot of glue to get it in there. This project I probably went through 15 of the big hot glue sticks. So be willing. You need to be willing to use a package of hot glue sticks on this one project, especially the hot glue sticks from Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to paint the box white. Of course, you could paint it any color you want. If you were using red, right now you're doing the little trucks, and you're doing buffalo plaid, the best thing to do is you could cover that box in buffalo plaid fabric or paper, or paint it in colors of buffalo plaid. There's so many ideas to go with that. Now I'm showing you how I did the drips for the snow. Any of that white sections that you saw before, what I did was I just took a bunch of hot glue and let it run, and make sure your gun is extremely hot so that you can goop it on there and make it have big globs of glue dripping. And that's what it is. It's made to look like snow has drifted onto your tree. And so you're going to put it on your edges. You're going to put it on some of the tree ridges across there, and I just applied it where I thought that it would make the most where most trees gather snow. Now, when I got one side done, then I was like, well, how am I going to hold this and not get burnt? So then I put it in the box for it to sit in, and just used that as the holder while I did the multi-layers of glue. Now, so what you can do is you've got the really hot glue on there, so you're doing the next side, and you let the other side cool while you're finishing up. Then go back over it and add some more drips on top of it. And it really made it stand out like it was snow drifting up on the tree. It just turned out so adorable. I was so pleased with this hot glue technique. I used to do some mangers made out of hot glue, and they were one of my favorite projects. I may have to do that again. Now here in a minute, you're going to see me use my scissors. And what I'm doing is there's always some glue strings. You girls know when you use a hot glue gun, you're going to have glue strings. So there was some hot glue, there was some burlap. And what I did was I just went back over where I did have strings that kind of fell down or whatever. Some of them even went to the table. I just cut them off. And then I re-glued over them just a little bit or took the end of my hot glue gun and rounded them off. And it turned out really, really cute. So if you do make a mess, just wait till it dries, cut it off, and cover it up with some more hot glue. Now I'm using the Waverly white chalk paint again, just like what I painted the box with. And I'm going over it for the first time, and I'm absolutely loving it. With this chalk paint, you can cover up anything that's slick. Now, if this had been just some white acrylic paint, it would have worked, but it would have had plenty of flaws in it. This Waverly chalk paint or any kind of chalk paint, you can usually almost cover it up with one coat. I did touch this back up in a couple of places, because the more you use of the chalk paint, the more it's going to look like snow too. So I just went around all the edges, and some of it I even brushed it on the edges of the burlap so that it just looked like a snow dusting. Especially along the edges there, you can see that I went along the ridges just to give it a little bit of white. This project just turned out so cute. I was so pleased with it. I can't wait to do my whole family of trees that I plan on making like this, to do a little scenery set for the backdrop of my snow village. I think this will be super, super cute. Here in a second, I'm going to pull out the box and start decorating it again. I just wrapped a gold ribbon around it because those are my colors. But like I was telling you before, this box could be black, it could be plaid, it could be whatever you want it to be. It could be brown box if that's what you preferred. I just thought that the white, the simple, I'm really into like the little farmhouse look, but I like gold and silver too in my living room, so this is the way I decorated it. But again, paper is great. You could cover it in fabric, would be great, or just paint it a solid color to match your decor. You know, of course, this is your project. You're going to be doing it for you. Now I'm going to put hot glue on all four sides of the box so that the tree will stick on all parts that it touches. This was one of my favorite projects that I have done so far in this series. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you hit that bell, then you'll know when I post my next video. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and are having a good holiday season. Thank you for joining me.